What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is season 14, episode 9. And if you were expecting to see my face, I apologize in advance. I'm fighting for my life right now. I don't think I'm sick because I don't have like a cough or anything like that, but I am just like extremely fatigued and it's annoying AF. But like I've been saying in my videos thus far, I don't want to get behind. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So y'all know sometimes before we get into the review, we get a little spicy, just a little bit, all right? And I just want to talk to y'all about two things. So they dropped the mid-season trailer and it was entertaining. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it like a 3 because I feel like it might not be as explosive as it letting it on to be, but it does look interesting that I'm like, okay, we got more to come. So we're definitely probably going to get another Dorit moment like she did with the cigarette. There also seems to be more of Dorit versus Sutton. And the one phrase that got everybody in a tizzy was Sutton saying that her bank account or her wallet was bigger than Dorit because Erica was like, are you saying you're a better person than her or a bigger person than her? And Sutton says, no, I'm saying my wallet is. And, everybody was clutching their pearls like, oh my God. And I got irritated by a lot of the fans because they're lame. Because in my mind, people acting like Housewives has never been about money is such a stretch. That's just what it is. It's a stretch. That's the whole entire concept of this show, is to watch rich, delusional women live their lives. And honestly, if the roles were reversed and Dorit had said this instead of Sutton, the people would have been screaming how iconic Dorit is. But because it was Sutton and right now the fandom as a whole does not like her, y'all mad about it. Lame. Just lame. So the next thing I want to talk about is Kyle. So it looks like Dorit and Kyle have really, I guess, they're not cool, but they're not at odds anymore. It's definitely given that their friendship will never be what it used to be. But let me play what she said on the after show.
Are good. We're not arguing. We're not speaking. She did have plans with me one night and then canceled with me to go with you, and she didn't know I knew that. Yeah. So we had plans. I invited her to dinner, and she said, great, we'll go to the Chateau Saturday night. I'll ask PK to watch the kids. And then you said to me, unknowing, I'm going to see Dorit Saturday night, we're going to dinner or whatever. And I said, oh, I kept that to myself. And then I was like, well, maybe we're all gonna go. Well, so then I texted her, are we still on for dinner? And she said, I can't tonight. So that's where we're at.
My life. Okay. She said to me, we can't go to the chateau. The chateau's all booked out. You know the truth is she didn't want to see you.
Yeah, exactly. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
So like I said, y'all, it's definitely given that their relationship is not where it used to be. And I do believe that Dorit is taking and prioritizing her relationships with Erica and Bose, especially when it comes to this cast, over her relationship with Kyle, because she posted this long thing about her friendship with Bose and how appreciative she is of her. And then the fact that she lied to Kyle and canceled her plans with her to go hang out with Erica says it lends a statement to like, yeah, girl, she don't really see it for you anymore. But I do think the ultimate test of their relationship is going to be the reunion and whether or not Kyle can actually take accountability. And I feel like if she can't, then their relationship probably will never really progress into something better. It'll just stay the way it is or probably regress. So the last thing I want to talk about is Erica Jane's son. So if you don't know, ASAP Rocky, who is, Rihanna's lover, the father of her kids, is actually on trial, and Erica Jane's son was the first witness. So I don't know if he was the officer that was on the scene of when the altercation between him and someone who used to be his friend happened. But I was just shocked seeing a picture of Erica Jane's son as an adult, because I'm so used to them when they refer to her son, they always make him seem like he's like a teenager or like a child, because that's the only pictures that they show. But seeing him sit here, I was like, oh my God, like he grown. Like that's a 35-year-old man. And I just think it's crazy that we never see her have interactions with him, because that's not the only child that's old, because we know Farrah, who is Kyle's daughter, is like 33, 34 probably. And I'm like, we see her, and I don't know, I feel like we should see him at least one time on the show. But granted, he probably doesn't want to be associated with show, especially with what happened or what is still happening with Tom and his case. That definitely wouldn't be a good look, and he's a police officer. But let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So let's talk about it. So the episode opens up and we're at Kyle's place. She's like rummaging through the house, doing random things. And then she decides to call Portia. She ends up asking Portia how she's been. How does she like staying at her father's house? And Portia's like, girl, it's cute. It's nice. And then Kyle ends up being like, so what do you have on like your books today? Like, what are you planning? And Portia's like, oh, me and my sisters are going to go get lunch together. And Kyle kind of has this look like, I want to come. Like, when are y'all going? And Portia's like, girl, I don't know. I just know one of them said they wanted to go out to eat, and we gonna go out to eat. And so Kyle's like, well, let me know what time so I can come. And Portia, you could tell, is like, okay. But Kyle is giving such desperate energy and thirsty energy. And it's sad because you can tell that she doesn't know where she fits in her family anymore. Mind you, this all happened a week later, like this conversation that's taking place, because remember, I told y'all in my last spicy corner that Kyle decided to take a week off from filming after the situation that happened at Dorit's house, not Dorit's house, Bose's house, because of her texting back and forth with PK and the women, specifically Dorit, questioning her about the nature of the text messages. So it's been a week. And I feel bad for Kyle in the sense of like, you can definitely tell that she's stumbling her way through life, because this is not where she thought she would be at her age. I definitely think that Kyle is like, okay, I'm not a wife anymore. And now, like, I'm still a mom, but my role in my daughter's lives it's not big anymore. Like, her older three kids are between the ages of 24 and like, think like 34 or 33. And then you have Portia's 16. Y'all just bought her a Porsche. Like, she's gaining more independence, more responsibilities. And Kyle being a mom is still important, but it's like you kind of have to let go of the reins so your children can create their own lives. And I think she's like, okay, so I'm not a mom anymore and I'm not a wife. Like, what am I? And I think that's why she is struggling with owning whatever that relationship she had with Morgan was, and owning like the reality of her relationship with Mauricio. Because it's like, I really don't think she ever thought in her, like, in her plans of life, that this is where she would be at the age that she's at now. So next we see Kyle get on the phone with Erica, and Erica ends up being like, girl, how are you? And she's just like, Erica, it's been a lot. And Erica's like, I know, babes. Erica basically says that everybody needs to butt out of the relationship between her, Kyle and Dorit, and allow you guys to fix whatever y'all got going on. Like, it's nobody's business at this point. And she also does feel like it was a lot that transpired at Bose's house that shouldn't have went down that way. So next we get this scene of Dorit and Bose meeting up for lunch. So you got Bose pretty much peeping Dorit's energy, being like, hey girl, I feel like something's off with you. Dorit ends up saying like, girl, I'm tired of like holding up the walls. Like, I feel like everything's coming down on me and I'm just trying to keep them up, and I can't take it anymore. And Bose is like, I'm here for you. Basically, Dorit ends up saying in her confessional how grateful she is for Bose and Erica. She feels like those are the only two women that she can truly confide in this group, as like to what's happening and what she's going through. So then Bose is like, I know you don't want to talk about it, but we got to talk about Kyle, because Kyle basically told me that you don't really know what's going on in her. Like, she didn't know what was going on in your relationship with PK. And so they do flashbacks of when they were at the Viper room, and then at the beginning of the season, where Kyle pretty much is saying, like, I don't know what's really going on with her and PK, or what's going on with their situation. And Dorit's kind of taken it back, because she was like, no, Kyle was one of the first people that I instructed, or like told about what was going on between me and PK. And they do a flashback to last season where Kyle and Dorit were sitting down having lunch, and Dorit was just like, I understand like the issues that you and Mauricio are having, because I was there with PK, where I didn't know if me and PK were going to make it, because he's always in London. We're not seeing each other. We're at odds. And she was like, I was talking to myself, like, is there going to be a point where I don't have PK in my life and he's no longer my husband? And so Kyle even said in that flashback, no, I understand. I've been there too. So then Dorit ends up saying, like, she didn't know about us separating, like we were at that point, but she definitely know like there was something up with us, because I told her. So Bose is like, okay, here is Kyle again lying to my face, like, okay, girl, I see you. So Dorit ends up saying that she was blindsided by this separation, because what happened is, after PK, I guess, got sober, it was her, PK, and his sobriety coach sitting down, and the sobriety coach was pretty much doing all the talking for PK, and basically told Dorit that we need to y'all need to separate. So Dorit is just like, I didn't even know if this is how PK truly feels about our situation, or is he being coerced into doing it, or has he felt all of this the whole entire time? What this says to me is either Dorit is a trigger for PK, or the marriage as a whole is not healthy for PK, if his sobriety coach is kind of like, yeah, y'all need to give this up, or y'all need to take time apart. But I also saw people online who, I guess, have been in recovery and have been sober for years, saying that most of the times your sober coach doesn't tell you to make such drastic decisions within the first year of getting sober, mainly because your brain is like recalibrating itself, because it no longer has that substance that you're depending on. So you might start to act differently or feel differently about certain things. So you shouldn't make such strong decisions until you really are out of that fog. So I don't know. So the next scene we see is of Garcelle and Sutton. We find out that Garcelle is inviting all of the ladies to her beachside house in order to celebrate it being, done, and just having a fun girls' day and having a nice time. So pretty much, Garcelle ends up getting a FaceTime call from Sutton. And Sutton is like, I don't understand why we're about to go meet up with Kyle when she's going to see us tomorrow at your place. Like, it doesn't make sense why she wants to do this, like why she want to meet up with us. And then Garcelle says, yeah, it is kind of peculiar that she wants to meet up with just me, you, and Erica, but she doesn't want to, like, she did not invite Dorit or Bose. Like, that is kind of weird. And so then Sutton ends up being like, in her confessional, I definitely feels like Kyle is trying to strategize here. She's trying to check the temperature of the group, since she hasn't been here in a while. And now she wants to see like who's on her side, or who she can get on her side, now that, tomorrow she's going to be in a room full of everybody. And I said, true. You clocked this, Sutton. But Garcelle in her said, well, it'll be interesting to see what she has to say at this dinner. So we finally see the sit down between the ladies, and we see Garcelle get to the lunch first. And so she sits down with Kyle, they catch up a little bit, and then Garcelle kind of cuts to the chase. She's like, girl, what's up with you? And Kyle ends up being like, I just been going through a lot. And Garcelle's like, why such the reaction in this behavior? And Kyle's like, well, I just feel like everybody's been questioning me. Like, I've been scrutinized about my marriage, about my sexuality, and now my character's being called into question. And so Garcelle's like, so that is why you're so upset, because you feel like your character is being attacked. And Kyle's like, yeah, because I would never do something messed up or harm or hurt Dorit or PK like that. Like, I don't understand, like, why people don't understand that's why I'm feeling or acting this way. So then Garcelle says in her confessional, nobody asked Kyle to show us the text. Kyle took it upon herself at Chuck E. Cheese to show us the text, and they do the flashback, which is true. Which is completely true, that she was the one that pretty much showed everybody the text at Chuck E. Cheese unprompted. And so then Garcelle says, well, girl, you definitely said it was just memes and jokes, but the way that you said, like, I'll never repeat or I'll never tell, like, what conversations we had or something like that definitely makes it seem like there was more than just memes and jokes. So Kyle kind of like walks it back, and she's like, well, of course we had conversations, like, we've been friends for 7 years. So then you just should have said that. You should have been like, yeah, we have had some deep conversations about, like, our situations and things of that nature, but nothing that's, like, inappropriate. So then they show a flashback of Kyle being like, it's just memes, it's just jokes. Like, she said that at the Viper Room. She said it when she met up with Garcelle and Sutton after the Viper Room at Sutton's house. And then I don't know where the third flashback came from, but it looked like maybe they were all working out together. She said it again. So it's like, you are the one that's trying to make it seem like it's like what y'all have wasn't that big of a deal. But if it wasn't that big of a deal, why are you behaving in this manner? Because it's very much like weird to everybody else. So Kyle ends up being like, I pride myself on being honest and all this stuff. And I don't know who Kyle pissed off in production, but they rolled back 3 flashback clips from 3 seasons of how Kyle is always asking people to be honest and have some type of integrity, but yet she doesn't follow it. They did it when I don't know which season it was, but it was back in 2020. They showed that situation with her and Denise going back and forth. In 2021, when the whole thing about Erica and her case and Tom Girardi, and then 2022 with Sutton, and I think that's when we met Crystal and that situation, and they wanted Sutton to be honest. So it's like Kyle's always asking everybody to be honest. And I said this in my last video, and I'll reiterate it, because I thought it was funny that they showed a picture of Kyle and Lisa Rinna when Kyle was going at Denise. Pretty much, Kyle and Lisa Rinna are having the same downfall, in my opinion. Lisa Rinna was the own it queen, like, own it, you gotta own it, you gotta own it. But then in the end, she couldn't own it herself, and she started to create rules where only certain people in the group had to own it. Everybody else had to back off. And it was her downfall. And same with Kyle. Kyle's always asking for people to be honest and face things head on and have some type of integrity. But yet here you are, and you can't be accountable. You can't be honest. And it's your downfall because production keeps flashing back to scenes of you contradicting yourself or flat out lying. So we then see Erica pull up, and then we see Sutton come. Sutton has this really cool purse that I think she said it was like Dolce and Gabbana, but it was a really nice, like, purse. And it reminds me of one of my friends. She collects, like, not rare purses, but different purses. So how Jennifer Tilly had that boat purse, she would eat that up. She has like a cell phone purse, also like an actual like telephone purse that has like a rotary thing on it. And then I think she has like a bird cage purse. Like, she likes different kind of purses. So I looked at Sutton's purse and I was like, oh, she would have loved that. So they're sitting down, and Sutton just cuts to the chase when she get there. She was like, girl, why we here? Everybody just looking at Sutton like, girl, like, no hello, no hi. She said, no, I want to know why we here. So Kyle basically ends up saying, well, I just wanted to apologize for my behavior, but I don't apologize for what I said. So then Sutton says, so what did you say that you're not apologizing for? And Kyle's just looking at Sutton. So is Erica. Garcelle is kind of cheesing at the situation, but Kyle is not really like explaining what she said. So then Sutton is like, no, I'm trying to understand what you're apologizing for, because you're saying that you apologize for yelling and your behavior, but yet you're not taking back what you said. So what's the point of the apology? And I said, Sutton, not wrong. So Kyle continues to fumble over her words. Garcelle ends up being like, "Are you going to apologize for saying that we should be ashamed of ourselves?" And Kyle's like, "Well, no, like I meant what I said when I said that." And so you can see Erica's getting irritated with this whole entire conversation because she feels like Garcelle and Sutton, more so Sutton, are being too harsh on Kyle. She feels as though like they probably were not, the debutantes, or while going through their divorces. She even points out that Garcelle exposed her husband. So she's just like, girl, why not? Why are y'all not giving her slack? Like, I'm gonna give my friend grace during this hard time. But I think this is where Erica gets in trouble with the ladies and the fan base, because I think you can be neutral in this situation. But if you're going to be neutral, I often think that when people decide to be neutral during fights, that means you see the fight for what it is from both sides and you try to make everyone be fair. And right now, Erica is not pushing Kyle to be fair. We've seen her try to get Dorit to be fair to Kyle. And I mean, we slightly seen her do it for like the reverse. But I think in this moment, Erica should have spoken up and say, "Hey, girl, you look a mess. Like, if you may not think you did anything wrong, and you probably didn't do anything wrong, but the optics of the situation, it's scandalous. So if I were you, just apologize to Dorit, forego your friendship with PK, and work on your friendship with Dorit and move on." But Erica's not doing that. She's just talking shit in the confessionals and having like the stank face and kind of just always saying whatever to everything. Like when Sutton and Garcelle were on FaceTime being like, Erica's just going to be like, whatever, I don't care. And legit, Erica basically says she doesn't care. It's whatever. When Kyle tried to apologize, it's like you're becoming more and more predictable. And it's like, say what you mean. Like, say the stuff that you're saying in your confessional to the ladies. Just say it. Like, it's annoying at this point. So the conversation continues with Sutton in her confessional basically saying Kyle is not above us. She's not some wondrous creature, basically, because she's an OG. Like, if it's fair for you, then it's fair for me, basically. If you don't want us to run out and cry, because there's been plenty of times where I've done that and I've been chastised, so that means I can chastise you for it. And you can tell that Kyle doesn't like that, but it's also like, well, Kyle, then you can't try to hold everybody else to this standard and you not keep the standard that you set. They end the dinner with, I think, Sutton saying, well, I've been judged, I've been the jury. And then Erica's like, and the executioner. And she's like, oh. And I'm just like, girl, they do not like Sutton. Erica can't stand Sutton. I thought we were going to see them like blossom, but you could definitely tell that she don't like that lady and she's just keeping a lid on it. But I definitely feel like if Erica and Sutton got into it, I think it would be an even match. So it's the next day and it's time for Garcelle's beach day. She's super excited for all of the ladies to come to her house. So she's setting up. We then see the rest of the cast meeting up at Kyle's house, and then they're going to drive down to Garcelle's beach house. So everyone gets there, they're eating a little bit, and then Bose gets there, and she kind of is irritated, especially with Kyle, because she's like, girl, the last time we saw each other, you went storming out of my house in a fuzzy robe and you didn't say anything. She was like, I at least expect like an apology or something, but nothing. Woo. And that does say a lot about Kyle. Like, even if you still feel like you were justified in your actions and how you felt, you still disrespected Bose's home by just rushing out. You didn't even say bye to her. Like, after you had that conversation with Dorit, you got in the car and you left. So you could at least apologize to her for that type of behavior, especially if you can apologize to Erica, Garcelle, and Sutton for your behavior. And Erica didn't even care. But you keep saying like for my actions, but you can't do it for the person's house that you attended and you showed those actions. It does say a lot. So Dorit gets there and everybody can kind of tell that the energy is a little off with her. And so she basically tells this story how before she got to the house, her and Jagger were walking their dog. And the little boy was like, Mom, can I ask you a question? Are you and Dad getting a divorce, or are you separated? And Dorit is just like, I froze. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, did you like die? Did you freak out? She was like, what would, like, why do you think that, baby? And he ends up saying, well, he saw a message on Instagram. So it's the message that PK and Dorit initially posted. And, you know, it said, basically, we have made the mutual difficult decision to take some time apart and reevaluate their friendship while prioritizing our children. So she's like, well, sometimes relationships are up and down. That's what she started explaining to him. And he was like, well, does that mean y'all are going to be, y'all still going to be friends or something? And Dorit's like, well, I sure hope so. And Kyle was like, well, that's an incentive for you guys to like work on building a good relationship since that's what your kids want. So Sutton is kind of just standing there. And then she's just kind of like, I don't mean to be rude, but we got to go. We got to go. And Dorit is just kind of looking at her. Everybody else is kind of looking at her. And they're like, Sutton. And she was like, yeah, I know. But we got to go. We got to go. Garcelle wants this to be a fun, light day. Like, we need to go. And Erica's like, Sutton, have some tact. I'm like, well, say that to her. Why are you saying all this in the confessional? And then Dorit is just kind of like, Sutton, you're a strange pumpkin. And Sutton's like, I get it. I know. And I'm not going to lie. I laughed. Even though it was hella rude, it was rude. Like, this lady is trying to share something very like anxiety inducing in her life, but Sutton is like, girl, we gotta go, and I don't want to hear it. I think because Sutton is like, well, we both said we're not friends, and every time I try to extend myself to you, you kind of like brush me off. I don't care about what you going through. That's the kind of energy it gave. I don't know if Sutton meant to be rude purposely, or she was just like, it's time to go and I don't want to hear it. But either way, it was rude. They even bring up when Dorit got robbed, and Sutton was like, well, it's not like I had a gun to my face, but I'm going through stuff too. Equally as rude, probably worse. But yeah, Sutton, read the room. So it's time to go to Garcelle's. They get there. Everybody is impressed with her home. She ends up making everyone change into these like pajamas. They were all ugly in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. So I kind of got why Dorit was like, she didn't want to like switch up her outfit. But I was also like, Dorit, your outfit wasn't that tea or that like, ooh girl, for you to like be pushing back. But she was like, I'm gonna be a good sport. And then we see that Jennifer Tilly ends up gifting Garcelle a $700 Dolce and Gabbana toaster. It was so cute. And it actually matched what Garcelle had on, and Jennifer Tilly pointed that out. And I was like, she gives nice gifts. Like, granted, I wouldn't want a $700 toaster, but I definitely think I would keep it in my house as a display because it is cute. So, you got Erica coveting what what Garcelle got. She was just like, that lady gets like has nice things. Jennifer Tilly, because they flash back to the really cute boat purse that was the Louis Vuitton boat purse, and then the Western gun necklace that she had on, and we found out that was Chanel. And Erica's like, she has such nice things, and I said, yeah, girl, she does. Now the only outfit I liked, the pajama outfit I liked, was Sutton's pajama outfit. They were all making fun of her because she had it hiked all the way up. Bose was like, girl, where is your waist? Erica was like, girl, pull those down. But out of all the outfits, I probably would have wanted to wear that because I have an outfit like that. It's like a cute little lounge wear where the set matches. So I would have ate that up. But I got why everybody else didn't want to change because the other patterns weren't that cute. So they all pile into golf carts and drive down to the beach. They're having fun. The beach is actually like the beach front that Garcelle's house is in front of is actually really nice. So the girls are just all like, oh my gosh, this is so lovely. She has like a picnic thing set up with chairs and all of that stuff. And we then see Jennifer Tilly, Sutton, and Dorit take pictures. Now, the only reason I'm pointing that out is so many people were so mad at Sutton, but I was like, well, if Dorit was so mad at Sutton, why was she really trying to get into the picture with Sutton and Jennifer? Because if I'm mad at you, I don't want to take no picture with you. But she was gleefully happy in that picture. So whatever that situation that they had, was Sutton rude? Yes. But was it that deep like people are trying to make it seem? No, because they moved on from it. So while everybody is lounging on the beach, Bose ends up telling Garcelle about what happened at Kyle's house, about what Dorit was sharing with the group. We also see Kyle take this opportunity to go speak to Dorit by herself away from the group. And so Garcelle ends up being like, oh, that's horrible. She said, what was really hard for me was when my boys would stay with me, they would be like, I miss dad. And when they would stay with their dad, they were like, I miss you. And she was like, that's hard to hear from your children because you really feel like you messed up. So she was like, I hope she can like get through this. So we see the conversation take place between Erica and Kyle, where Kyle's like, do you want to start? Do you want me to start? And Dorit just gets into it. She was like, did you consider me a good friend to you? And Kyle's like, yes. And then Dorit's like, do you want to work on this friendship? Kyle ends up saying yes. So what it boils down to is basically Kyle ends up saying, like, if I had to choose between you or PK, I would choose you. And Dorit ends up being like, if you're going to be my friend, then you're going to have to basically pick a side. And if he tells you anything about me, you're going to have to tell me. So Kyle was trying to explain the text being like, I was basically telling him, I'm your friend too. Like, I would never, like, turn on you and all that stuff. I know I'm not his only friend. I was just sending that out there. I think what it is that Kyle just doesn't want to admit that she's wrong. And I think she should just admit it. Like, hey, I know I crossed some line that was there, that you don't feel comfortable with me talking to PK because we're not in a good place and y'all are not in a good place. And I apologize for that. What was shared in those text messages was just conversations that me and PK had about, our relationships, about like our sobriety or whatnot. Like, I was just trying to encourage and help him and be there for him the way that I would want someone to be there for me. But I'm wrong because I should have told you, even though we're not in a good place. Because really, Dorit just wants Kyle to choose her side because she ends up saying, be a girl's girl and show me that that's what you are because you're always saying you are. And then they end up saying that they're happy that they had this conversation and they hug and we move on, which I was like, okay, can this be the last time we talk about this? So the next thing we see is the ladies sitting down at the table. Everybody's acting so cold. And I guess because I live in the South, 62 degrees is not really chilly to me. Like, you can get away with like a hoodie and I'm good, but they were freezing. But also it probably makes it worse because they're on the beach in the wind. Okay, the wind makes it colder. But they're sitting there, they start asking each other like, hot topic questions about like, would you sleep with for somebody for $1,000,000? And everyone was like, $1,000,000 isn't that much. So then Bose was like, what about $20,000,000? And Erica says, sign me up. Okay. And they were like, but what if they said your man had to do it? Erica was like, sign him up. The money's the money. And then they asked Garcelle, she was like, well, I slept with a man for less, so it's okay. So everyone's like, girl, what? I said, Garcelle, stop telling this stuff. She be kissing and telling. So then we have Dorit pretty much exposing the fact that Erica's never been in love. They flashback to, I think, last season where Erica's like, she wants like one good love affair where you're like obsessed with this person. You have the pull and the push, and it's just something like just, cosmic and all of that stuff, and it's something that you see in the movies. And so everyone's like, wow, you never had that. And she was like, no. Like, I ain't never had it either, so I understand Erica. So then Dorit tries to like explain it, being like, it's just something that like when you meet that person, you get tingles all over your body. And Erica's like, girl, so sex. And everyone's like, no. So then we hear Bo say that, she has this chip in her brain that just flips on, and like love is just something that she just can't live without, and she just thinks it's so beautiful. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So then they asked Jennifer Tilly, and she says, she's in love with her boyfriend, and but she also, they were like, so he's your first love? And she was like, no, my first love was my husband. And she must have had a really wonderful relationship with her first husband, because she also was like, every time I'm able to, tip the valet, get a new outfit here, do this or do that, it's all because he set me up financially with, giving her a part of The Simpsons or, stock or things in The Simpsons. So she was like, I'm extremely grateful to him. But I guess he must have passed away, but they still had a really good friendship even after their divorce. See, I like divorces like that, where people can divorce but still be respectful and kind to each other. They just knew like it wasn't working out romantically, but they could still be friends. Because I do think it's beautiful that she still is like, so she speaks so highly of him and stuff like that. So everyone's like, wow, that's sweet. So then at the end, they were supposed to be lighting, those what's it called? You put your wishes and it floats into the air. The wind was knocking everything down. I thought it was a cute scene. Everybody running away from the dead bird, the guy trying to catch the lanterns and everything. It ended nicely. So yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in them comments below. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.